The plaza stretched wide beneath three purple suns, its black stone floor polished smooth by centuries of dragon feet. Park Day One stood with the other human survivors, trying not to show his fear. His worn engineer's jacket felt thin against the heat radiating from the massive creatures surrounding them. The dragons were everywhere. Some walked on two legs in forms that looked almost human, except for their glowing eyes and the scales that shimmered along their skin. Others remained in their true shapes, as large as buildings, their wings folded against their backs like living mountains. The air smelled of sulfur and something else, something ancient that made the hair on Day One's arms stand up. "Don't look them in the eyes," Li Taeyong whispered beside him. "I heard it's a challenge." Day One nodded, but kept his gaze forward. Their colony ship, the Eternal Dawn, had crashed on this planet 3 weeks ago. Half the crew died in the landing. The survivors had nowhere else to go. The dragons owned this world, and humans needed permission just to breathe its air. The Dragon Empress sat on a throne of volcanic glass at the far end of the plaza. Even in her humanoid form, she radiated power. Her silver hair flowed like liquid metal, and her eyes burned with inner fire. She had been listening to their leader, Captain Park Salmon, explain why the dragons should let humans stay. "Your kind are weak," the Empress said, her voice carrying across the plaza without effort. "You live such short lives. Why should we share our world with beings who will be dust in a century?" Captain Salmon bowed low. "We ask only for a small territory, Your Majesty. We can offer technology, knowledge, skills your people might find useful." A dragon lord laughed, the sound like rocks grinding together. "What could mayflies teach us? We have mastered the stars for 10,000 years." Day One clenched his fists but stayed quiet. He had been a soldier once, before becoming an engineer. He knew when to keep his mouth shut. A small figure moved near the throne. Princess Yura, the Empress's daughter, skipped down the steps in her child form. She looked no older than 6 in human years, though Day One knew dragons aged differently. Her silver hair was braided with golden threads, and her purple dress shimmered as she moved. "Mother, can I see the humans up close?" she asked, her voice bright with curiosity. "I have never met one before." The Empress frowned. "Stay near the guards, little flame." The princess walked toward the human group, for dragon guards following close behind. She stopped a few feet away, tilting her head as she studied them. "You are so small," she said, not unkindly. "Do you really break so easily?" Before anyone could answer, Day One saw the shimmer in the air. His military training kicked in instantly. 3 positions, high angles, energy buildup. His mind processed it in a heartbeat. Assassins. Concealed. Targeting the child. "Down!" he screamed. 10 beams of plasma fire lanced through the air, converging on the princess. The dragon guards were too far away, still moving toward their charge. Time seemed to slow as Day One's body moved on instinct. He lunged forward, throwing himself between the child and the burning death. The first blast hit his shoulder, spinning him around. The second and third struck his chest, and he felt ribs crack. 4, 5, 6, each impact was like being hit by a hammer made of fire. His vision went white with pain. 7 burned through his stomach. 8 and 9 hit his legs, dropping him to his knees. The 10th blast took him in the back as he curled around the princess, using his body as a shield. He couldn't breathe. The smell of his own burning flesh filled his nose. Through the haze of pain, he felt small hands clutching his jacket. The princess was crying, her face pressed against his chest. "I got you," he managed to whisper. "You are safe." Then the world exploded with dragon fire. The Empress rose from her throne, her form expanding into something massive and terrible. Her roar shook the plaza, cracking the ancient stone. A wave of white-hot flame poured from her jaws, incinerating the assassins in their hiding places. They didn't even have time to scream. Day One felt himself falling, the plaza tilting sideways. Strong hands caught him, dragon guards, their scaled skin warm against his ruined body. He heard shouting, heard Taeyong calling his name, but it all sounded distant. The Empress was suddenly there, her face above his, returned to humanoid form. Her eyes blazed with fury and something else. "Why?" she demanded. "Why would you do this?" Day One tried to answer, but blood filled his mouth. He looked past her to where Princess Yura stood, unharmed, tears streaming down her face. That was enough. He tried to smile. "Because she is just a kid," he managed to say. "And kids should not die." The Empress stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned to her guards. "Take him to the Imperial Medical Sanctum. Now." "But Your Majesty," one guard protested, "he is human. The wounds are fatal. Nothing can." "I said now." The Empress's voice cracked like thunder. "Bring my personal physician. Prepare the healing flames." Shocked whispers rippled through the crowd. The healing flames were sacred, reserved only for dragon royalty. Using them on a human was unheard of. "Mother, you cannot," a dragon lord said. "The law forbids." "I am the law," the Empress said coldly. "This human shielded my daughter with his life. I will not let such courage go unrewarded." As the guards lifted him, Day One's consciousness faded. He heard Princess Yura crying, calling him brave. He heard Taeyong shouting that he would be okay. He heard the Empress giving orders in a voice that allowed no argument. His last clear thought was simple and peaceful. The child was safe. Whatever happened now, at least he had done one good thing. In a universe so vast and cold, maybe that was enough. The darkness took him then, pulling him down into depths where pain could not follow. Behind him, the plaza erupted into chaos. Dragon guards arrested conspirators. Human survivors wept for their fallen hero. And the Empress held her daughter close, staring at the bloodstain on the ancient stones. "Find out who planned this," she commanded, "and prepare the sanctum. If this human dies, it will not be because I did not try everything in my power to save him." Princess Yura looked up at her mother with tear-filled eyes. "Will he live?" The Empress's expression was hard to read. "I do not know, little flame. But I swear on the ancient fire that we will give him every chance. His courage deserves nothing less." In the medical sanctum, dragon physicians worked through the night, using magic that had never touched human flesh before. The healing flames, silver and gold, wrapped around Day One's broken body. They burned away the damage and knit his flesh back together in ways that defied understanding. But the cost was high. The human body was not made for such power. As the magic worked, it changed him in ways no one could predict. His scars glowed with inner light. His cells rewrote themselves, accepting the dragon essence and transforming it into something new. 3 weeks passed. The human survivors were told he had died from his injuries. They held a memorial service, praising his sacrifice. Taeyong spoke of his friend's courage, his kindness, his unwavering sense of right and wrong. But in a chamber deep within the Imperial Palace, watched over by guards who spoke to no one, Park Day One dreamed. And in those dreams, he felt fire running through his veins, changing him, remaking him into something the universe had never seen before. A human who had been touched by dragon magic and survived. Day One woke to softness. That was the first thing he noticed. The second was that he should be dead. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to dim light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The ceiling above him was black stone traced with veins of gold that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. He lay on a bed softer than clouds, covered in silk sheets that felt cool against his skin. He tried to sit up and gasped. Not from pain, but from the absence of it. His body felt whole. Strong, even. He looked down at his arms and froze. Scars covered his skin, but they were unlike any scars he had seen before. They glowed with a faint silver light, forming patterns across his chest, arms, and stomach. He touched one carefully. It felt warm, and when his fingers brushed it, the light pulsed brighter for a moment. "You are awake." Day One jerked his head toward the voice. A woman sat in a chair beside his bed, and for a moment, he forgot how to breathe. She was beautiful in a way that seemed almost dangerous. Her silver hair fell past her shoulders, and her eyes shifted between violet and gold as she watched him. She wore elegant robes of deep blue silk, but he could see the lean muscles of a warrior beneath the fabric. "Who are you?" he managed to ask. His voice came out rough, unused. "I am Kong Hannah," she said. Her tone was formal, controlled. "Elite warrior of the Royal Guard. I have been assigned as your guardian." Guardian. Day One looked around the room properly now. It was enormous, decorated with treasures that must be worth more than the entire human colony ship. "Where am I?" "The Imperial Palace. You have been unconscious for 3 weeks." Hannah stood and moved to a table where a pitcher of water waited. She poured a glass and brought it to him. "You should drink. The healing flames consume much energy." He took the glass, his mind racing. "I should be dead." "Yes," Hannah agreed simply. 10 plasma blasts would kill any human instantly. They would kill most dragons. But the Empress used the sacred healing flames on you. It has never been done for a human before. Day One drank the water. It tasted strange, sweet and metallic at once. Why would she do that? For the first time, something flickered in Hannah's eyes. "Because you saved Princess Yura. You threw yourself in front of certain death without hesitation. In dragon culture, such an act creates what we call a soul bond. You are now tied to the Imperial family by honor and magic." "I don't understand." Hannah sat on the edge of the bed, closer now. When someone saves a dragon's life through willing sacrifice, especially a royal dragon, a debt is created. But this debt can never be repaid. It is too great. So instead, it must be honored forever. She paused. "The Empress has declared you under Imperial protection. As one of her most trusted warriors, I have been assigned to guard your life until the debt is fulfilled." "And when will that be?" "Never." Hannah's lips curved in something that was not quite a smile. "A life debt to the Imperial bloodline never ends. You are now, by our oldest laws, a protected member of the Imperial household." Day One set down the glass carefully. "The other dragons will not like that." "No," Hannah said. "They do not. The High Council has been in uproar since the Empress made her declaration. Many see it as an insult that a human lives in the palace, protected by laws meant for our kind. Some are very angry." "Then why did you agree to guard me?" He watched her face carefully. "You said you were assigned, but you are an elite warrior. You could have refused." Something flickered in those shifting eyes again. "I volunteered." Day One blinked. "Why?" Hannah stood and walked to the window. It overlooked a vast city of black stone and red banners, stretching as far as the eye could see. "I watched the recording of your sacrifice 73 times, she said quietly. "I tried to understand what would make someone so fragile choose certain death for a stranger, for a child of a species not your own." She turned back to him. "I still do not fully understand. But I wanted to. That is why I volunteered." Before Day One could respond, an alarm shrieked through the palace. The sound was wrong, discordant, making his teeth ache. Hannah's entire body tensed, and her eyes flared pure gold. "What is that?" he asked. "An attack alarm." She moved to a cabinet and pulled out a sword that burst into flames the moment she touched it. "Stay in this room. Do not leave for any reason." "What is happening?" "The conspirators who tried to kill Princess Yura," Hannah said, heading for the door. "They have not given up. And now you are a symbol they want to destroy." "Wait," Day One called. "You are going alone." She looked back at him, and for a moment, her expression softened. "I am an elite warrior of the Royal Guard. I have fought in 100 battles. You are a human who just woke from death. Stay here. Stay safe." Then she was gone, the door closing behind her with a heavy thud. Day One sat on the bed for exactly 10 seconds. Then he stood and went to the cabinet where Hannah had found her sword. He was not a warrior anymore, but he had been a soldier once. And he had been a combat medic. If there was fighting, there would be wounded. The cabinet held armor, weapons, and supplies he did not understand. But it also held something useful, a medical kit, dragon-made but similar enough to human equipment. He grabbed it and moved to the door. It was locked from the outside. He cursed and looked around the room. The window. It was large, open to a balcony overlooking the city. He ran to it and looked down. 4 floors up, sheer wall, no handholds. Another explosion shook the palace. Closer this time. He heard shouting, the roar of dragon fire, and the clash of weapons. Day One looked at his glowing scars. The healing flames had changed him, made him survive what should have killed him. Maybe they had made him stronger too. There was only one way to find out. He climbed onto the balcony railing, took a deep breath, and jumped. The fall should have broken every bone in his body. Instead, he hit the ground and rolled, his legs absorbing the impact with surprising ease. His scars flared bright, and he felt warmth spread through his muscles. Definitely stronger. He ran toward the sound of fighting, the medical kit clutched in one hand. He rounded a corner and nearly collided with 2 dragon guards dragging a wounded comrade. They stared at him in shock. "I am a medic," he said quickly. "Let me help." The wounded dragon had a gaping wound in her side, bleeding silver blood. Day One dropped to his knees and opened the kit. His hands moved on autopsy, applying pressure, finding the right supplies. The dragon medicine was different, but injury was injury. "Hold her steady," he ordered, and the guards obeyed without thinking. He worked fast, sealing the wound with some kind of foam that hardened instantly. The bleeding stopped. The wounded dragon's breathing steadied. "You saved her," one guard said in wonder. "You are the human. The one who saved the princess." "Where is the fighting?" Day One asked. The guard pointed. "East Wing. But you should not." Another explosion cut him off. Day One was already running. He found Hannah in a corridor filled with smoke and fire. She fought 3 assassins at once, her blade moving so fast it left trails of flame in the air. She was magnificent and terrifying, every move precise and deadly. But one of the assassins was circling behind her, charging a spell that crackled with dark energy. Day One did not think. He threw himself forward, tackling the assassin as the spell released. The blast went wild, hitting the ceiling. Stone rained down as Day One and the assassin crashed to the floor. "Stay down, human!" Hannah shouted, not looking at him as she cut down another attacker. The assassin under Day One was stronger, faster. He threw Day One off easily and raised a clawed hand. But before he could strike, Hannah was there. Her blade took the assassin's head in one clean motion. The last attacker fled, disappearing in a burst of smoke. Hannah turned to Day One, her face a mask of fury. "I told you to stay in your room." "You were about to get hit from behind," he said, climbing to his feet. "You are welcome, by the way." Her eyes blazed. "You could have been killed. Do you have any idea how angry the Empress would be if you died while under my protection?" "Is that the only reason you care?" he asked. Hannah opened her mouth, closed it, and then turned away. "Come. We need to return you to safety before more attackers arrive." As they walked through the damaged corridor, guards saluting Hannah as they passed, Day One noticed something. The bond she had mentioned, the soul bond, he could feel it now. A warmth in his chest that pulsed in time with Hannah's presence. And beneath her anger, he sensed something else. Fear. She had been afraid for him. "Hannah," he said softly. She did not look at him. "What?" "Thank you. For volunteering to protect me." Her steps faltered for just a moment. Then she continued walking, her voice carefully neutral. "It is my duty. Nothing more." But Day One felt the lie through the bond, and he smiled despite everything. This was going to be interesting. The palace guards escorted them back through corridors still smoking from the attack. Day One noticed how they looked at him now, with something between curiosity and respect. Word must have spread about him helping the wounded soldier. Hannah walked ahead of him, her back straight and her hand never far from her sword. She had not spoken since they left the battle site. The bond in Day One's chest pulsed with her emotions, anger, worry, and something else he could not quite name. They reached his chambers, But before Hannah could open the door, a small voice called out, "Uncle Brave." Princess Yura came running down the hallway, her silver hair streaming behind her. 2 guards rushed after her, trying to keep up. She crashed into Day One, wrapping her small arms around his waist. "You are awake. You are really awake." She looked up at him with eyes that shimmered with tears. "I thought you were going to die. I thought I killed you." Day One knelt down to her level, ignoring the shocked looks from the guards. "You did not kill me. The bad people who attacked you, they are the ones to blame. Not you." "But you got hurt because of me," she whispered. "I got hurt because I chose to protect you," he said gently. "And I would do it again. You are just a kid. You deserve to be safe." Yura hugged him again, tighter this time. "Mother says I must call you by your proper title now. She says you are part of our household. But can I still call you Uncle Brave? I like that name better." Day One smiled. "I like it too." "Princess," one of her guards said nervously, "your mother is looking for you. She wants to know you are safe after the attack." Yura pulled back and wiped her eyes. "Will you come visit me? I want to hear about humans. About your home world. About everything." "I promise," Day One said. She smiled, bright and genuine, then ran off with her guards chasing after her. Day One stood and found Hannah watching him with an unreadable expression. "What?" he asked. "You are good with her," Hannah said quietly. "Most beings are nervous around dragon royalty, even children. But you treat her like any normal child." "Because that is what she is," Day One said. "Under all the power and the magic, she is just a scared kid who almost died. She needs kindness, not more fear." Hannah stared at him for a long moment. Then she opened the door to his chambers. "Inside. We need to talk." The room had been cleaned while they were gone. Fresh silk sheets covered the bed, and someone had left food on the table. Day One suddenly realized he was starving. He went to the table and started eating while Hannah paced by the window. "You cannot do what you did today," she said finally. "Jumping from windows, running into battles, tackling assassins. You may have survived the healing flames, but you are still mostly human. You are not invincible." "Neither are you," Day One pointed out. "That assassin was about to blast you from behind. I would have survived it." "Maybe. Maybe not." He took a bite of something that tasted like spiced meat. "Look, I understand you have a job to do. But I am not going to hide in a room while people are fighting and dying. I am a medic. I have skills. I can help. Your job is to stay alive." Hannah's voice rose, her control finally cracking. "Do you not understand? If you die, the Empress loses face. The soul bond would be broken. It would be a stain on her honor and on mine. The High Council would use it as proof that humans are not worth protecting." Day One set down his food and stood. "Is that really what you are worried about? Honor and politics? What else would I worry about?" But her eyes shifted from gold to violet, and the bond pulsed with something that felt like panic. He took a step closer to her. "I can feel it, you know. Through this bond. Whatever the healing flames did to me, it lets me sense your emotions. And right now, you are terrified. Not for your honor. For me." Hannah's jaw tightened. "You do not know what you are talking about." "Then tell me I am wrong." He moved closer still. "Tell me you are just following orders. Tell me you volunteered to guard me out of curiosity and nothing else." She looked away. "It does not matter what I feel." "Why not?" "Because you are human." The words burst out of her like they had been held back for too long. "You will live maybe 100 years if you are lucky. I will live for thousands. Do you understand what that means? In the blink of an eye, you will be gone. Dust. A memory. And I will still be here alone, for centuries upon centuries." Day One reached out and gently turned her face back toward his. "So you do care." "I did not say that. You did not have to." He smiled softly. And for what it is worth, I care about you too. Hannah's eyes widened. You barely know me. I know you volunteered to protect a human when no one else would. I know you sat by my bed for 3 weeks. I know you are brave and strong and trying very hard not to feel something that scares you. He paused. And I know that life is short, especially for humans. So when I find something worth caring about, I do not waste time pretending I do not. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Hannah closed the distance between them and kissed him. It was fierce and desperate, like she was trying to prove something to herself. Day One responded, his hands finding her waist as hers tangled in his hair. The bond between them flared bright, and he felt everything she had been holding back: loneliness, fear, hope, and a longing so deep it made his chest ache. When she pulled away, her breathing was unsteady. This is impossible, she whispered. This can only end in pain. Maybe, Day One said. Or maybe we find a way to make it work. There is no way. The laws of nature do not change because we wish them to. A knock at the door interrupted them. Hannah stepped back quickly, composing herself. Enter, she called, her voice steady again. A dragon guard opened the door and bowed. The Empress requests both of your presence in the throne room immediately. Day One and Hannah exchanged glances. Did she say why? Hannah asked. No, elite warrior. But she seemed troubled. They followed the guard through the palace. Day One noticed more soldiers than usual, all on high alert. Whatever the Empress wanted to discuss, it was serious. The throne room was smaller than the great plaza where Day One had almost died, but far more impressive. The walls were carved with scenes of dragons in flight, and the floor was polished volcanic glass that reflected the light from floating flames. The Empress sat on her throne, looking every bit the ancient ruler she was. Princess Yura stood beside her, holding her mother's hand. Approach, the Empress commanded. They walked forward and bowed. Day One followed Hannah's lead, trying not to look nervous. The attack today was not random, the Empress said without preamble. We captured one of the assassins alive. Under questioning, he revealed the truth. She paused, her eyes burning with cold fury. There is a conspiracy within the High Council itself. Certain lords believe that allowing humans to remain on our world makes us look weak. They see your survival, Day One, as an insult to dragon superiority. Mother, Yura said quietly, her voice small. The Empress squeezed her daughter's hand. They planned to kill Yura to destabilize my rule. When that failed because of Day One's sacrifice, they decided to make him their new target. If they kill him, it proves humans are weak. If they fail, the attempts themselves cause chaos and division. How many are involved? Hannah asked, her hand on her sword. We do not know yet. But the conspiracy goes deeper than we thought. They have allies, resources, and most dangerous of all, they have nothing to lose. The Empress looked at Day One. They will keep trying to kill you. And they will use you to attack everything I am trying to build, a new alliance between our species. What do we do? Day One asked. The Empress was quiet for a moment. There may be a way to protect you permanently, but it is dangerous, has never been attempted with a human, and may kill you. What is it? The bonding of flames, Hannah breathed beside him. Your Majesty, that ritual is sacred. It has only ever been performed between dragons. I am aware, the Empress said. But if Day One undergoes the bonding with you, Hannah, he would be tied to you completely. Your life force would sustain his. He would gain dragon resilience, extended life, and the protection that comes with being fully bonded to a royal guardian. Day One looked at Hannah. Her face had gone pale. There is more you are not saying, she said. Yes, the Empress admitted. The bonding is painful. Many dragons died during the ritual. It requires both parties to open their souls completely, holding nothing back. And once done, it can never be undone. You would be bound together for the rest of your lives. How long do I have to decide? Day One asked. The conspirators are planning another attack. We believe they will strike the human settlement next, to force my hand politically. The Empress stood. You have until tomorrow night. Choose wisely. Both of you. As they left the throne room, Day One felt the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders. But when he looked at Hannah, saw the fear and hope warring in her eyes, he realized he had already made his choice. Some things were worth the risk. Some people were worth fighting for, even if it meant walking through fire. Day One stood on the balcony of his chambers, watching the three suns set over the Dragon City. Behind him, he could hear Hannah pacing. She had been doing that for an hour now, her footsteps marking a steady rhythm on the stone floor. You do not have to do this, she said for the 5th time. We can find another way. What other way? Day One turned to face her. The Empress said it herself. The conspirators will keep attacking. If not me, then the other humans. Then Yura. Then anyone who represents the alliance between our people. But the bonding. Hannah stopped pacing and looked at him. Many dragons died during the ritual. The pain is beyond anything you can imagine. Your body will be torn apart and rebuilt by dragon fire. And you are human. Your body was not made for this. I survived the healing flames. That was different. You were unconscious. The Empress and her physicians controlled every moment. The bonding requires you to be awake, to accept the fire willingly. If your mind breaks from the pain, the ritual fails. If your body rejects the dragon essence, you die. She moved closer to him. I do not want to be the reason you die. Day One reached out and took her hand. And I do not want to be the reason this alliance falls apart. How many humans will die if the conspirators win? How many dragons will die in the wars that follow? He squeezed her hand gently. Besides, there is another reason I want to do this. What reason? You said it yourself yesterday. I will live maybe 100 years. You will live thousands. If we do this, we get more time. He smiled. I know we barely know each other, but I want the chance to change that. Do you not? Hannah's eyes shifted from violet to gold and back again. You are asking me to risk your life for the possibility of time together. I am saying that life without the possibility is not worth living. Day One pulled her closer. I have been a soldier. I have seen people die for nothing. Die because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. But this would mean something. And if I survive, we get something amazing. That seems like a pretty good deal to me. She kissed him then, softer than before, but deeper. When she pulled back, there were tears in her eyes. You are either very brave or very stupid. Can I be both? Despite everything, she laughed. Yes, I think you can. The next evening, they stood in the Chamber of Flames deep beneath the Imperial Palace. The room was circular, carved from black volcanic stone. Ancient runes covered the walls, glowing with inner fire. In the center was a circle drawn in silver, large enough for a dragon to stand in. The Empress waited with her high priest, an ancient dragon whose scales had turned pure white with age. Princess Yura was there too, holding her mother's hand tightly. And standing near the entrance was Li Taeyong, along with Captain Salmon and a dozen other human survivors. You came, Day One said, surprised to see his friend. Taeyong walked over and hugged him hard. Of course I came, you idiot. Did you think I would let you do this alone? He pulled back, his eyes wet. Though I still think you are crazy. I know. But I am proud of you. Taeyong glanced at Hannah. Take care of him. He does stupid brave things when no one is watching. I noticed, Hannah said quietly. The high priest stepped forward. We must begin. The moons are aligned correctly for only another hour. Day One looked at all the faces watching him. His fellow humans, hopeful and scared. The dragon guards, curious and doubtful. Princess Yura, tears already streaming down her face. The Empress, her expression unreadable. And Hannah, beautiful and terrified. I am ready, he said. Hannah walked to the center of the circle. Her body began to change, growing, shifting. Scales rippled across her skin as she took her true form. She was magnificent, a silver dragon easily 30 feet long, with wings that seemed to catch and hold the light. Her eyes, still shifting between violet and gold, looked at him with all the emotion she usually kept hidden. "You must step into the circle," the high priest said to Day One. "Once the ritual begins, you cannot leave until it is complete. Do you understand?" "I understand." Day One walked forward and stood in the circle, looking up at Hannah's dragon form. She lowered her head until her snout was level with his face. "Last chance to run," her voice echoed in his mind, the bond between them carrying her words. "Not running," he thought back. The high priest began chanting in the old dragon tongue. The runes on the walls blazed brighter. The silver circle on the floor started to glow, rising up in a cylinder of light that enclosed both Day One and Hannah. Then the fire came. It started small, flickering around Day One's feet. Then it grew, climbing up his legs, his chest, his arms. Unlike normal fire, this did not burn the surface. It went deeper, sinking into his flesh, into his bones, into his very soul. The pain was instant and absolute. Day One screamed. He could not help it. It felt like every cell in his body was being torn apart and examined and judged. The dragon fire searched through him, finding every weakness, every flaw, every hidden fear. "Accept it." Hannah's voice filled his mind. "Do not fight the fire. Let it in." That was easy for her to say. Every instinct Day One had screamed at him to run, to escape, to make the pain stop. But he had promised. He had chosen this. He stopped fighting. He opened himself to the fire, let it flow through him without resistance. The pain doubled, then tripled. He felt his knees buckle, but the circle of light held him upright. Images flashed through his mind. His childhood on Earth. His military training. The day the colony ship launched. The crash. The moment he saw Princess Yura in danger. Every choice, every memory, laid bare for the dragonfire to see. And then he felt Hannah's presence join his. Her memories flooded into him. Centuries of life, of battles, of loneliness. He felt what it was like to watch friends age and die while she remained unchanged. He felt her dedication to duty, her loyalty to the Empress, her quiet desperation for something more than endless service. And he felt the moment she first saw him throw himself in front of the princess. The shock. The confusion. The fascination that grew into something deeper as she sat by his bed for 3 weeks, watching him sleep, wondering what kind of being chose death for a stranger. "I see you," her voice whispered in his mind. "All of you. Your courage, your kindness, your stubborn refusal to give up. I see you, Day One." "I see you too," he thought back. "Your strength, your hidden gentleness, your fear of being alone forever. I see you, Hannah." The fire exploded outward, bathing them both in silver flames. Day One felt his body changing. His cells rewrote themselves, accepting dragon essence and weaving it into his human form. His scars blazed like stars. His bones strengthened. His heart beat in time with Hannah's, their rhythms matching, synchronizing, becoming one. Then, slowly, the fire faded. Day One collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. His whole body trembled, but he was alive. More than alive. He felt strong, complete in a way he never had before. Hannah shifted back to her humanoid form and dropped beside him, catching him before he fell completely. "You did it," she whispered. "You survived." "We survived," he corrected. The high priest approached the circle, which had stopped glowing. He examined Day One carefully, his ancient eyes widening. "Remarkable." The bonding took hold completely. "I have never seen it merge so smoothly, even between full dragons." The Empress stepped forward. "How long will he live now?" "His lifespan matches hers," the high priest said. "Thousands of years, barring fatal injury." Cheers erupted from the human survivors. Taeyong was laughing and crying at the same time. Even some of the dragon guards looked impressed. But Day One only had eyes for Hannah. He could feel her now, not just her emotions but her presence, like she was part of him. The bond was complete, unbreakable. "No more loneliness," he said softly. She smiled, genuine and bright. "No more loneliness." Princess Yura ran into the circle and hugged them both. Uncle Brave is staying. He is really staying. But the Empress's face remained serious. The bonding is complete, and I am glad. But we still have a conspiracy to deal with. The rebels will not stop just because Day One is harder to kill now. Then what do we do? Captain Somin asked. Day One stood, Hannah supporting him. His body still ached, but strength was already flowing back through him. We end this. The rebels want to attack the human settlement to make you look weak. So we do not give them the chance. What are you suggesting? The Empress asked. We evacuate the humans to the Imperial City. Show the galaxy that you protect us. Then. Day One looked at Hannah, who nodded. Then I challenged the rebel leader directly. According to Dragon Law, he cannot refuse a challenge from someone bonded to a royal guardian. The throne room went silent. That would be a fight to the death, the Empress said slowly. You may be bonded now, but you are still mostly human. You are not a warrior. No, Day One agreed. But I am human. And we are very good at surviving impossible odds. The Colosseum of Flames was older than most civilizations. Its black stone walls had witnessed 10,000 years of dragon combat, and the ground was scorched from countless battles. Today, it was packed with spectators. Dragons filled every seat, their eyes glowing with anticipation. This was history in the making, a human challenging a dragon lord to mortal combat. Day One stood in the center of the arena, feeling small under the gaze of thousands. He wore armor that Taeyong and the other human engineers had designed, lightweight but reinforced with materials that could withstand dragon fire. In his hands, he held a blade forged specifically for him, combining human technology with dragon magic. Across the arena stood Lord Quan, the leader of the rebel faction. In his humanoid form, he was massive, nearly 8 feet tall with scales like black iron. His eyes burned red, and when he smiled, his teeth were like daggers. A human, Quan's voice boomed across the Colosseum. This is what the Empress has reduced us to, allowing a mayfly to invoke the ancient laws. It is an insult to everything we are. Then you should have no problem defeating me, Day One called back. His voice was steady, though his heart pounded. Through the bond, he felt Hannah's presence. She sat in the royal box with the Empress and Yura, radiating worry and pride in equal measure. The high priest stepped forward to officiate. By the ancient laws, this challenge has been issued and accepted. Combat will continue until one party yields or dies. There are no other rules. He looked at both combatants. Begin. Quan did not wait. He transformed instantly, his body expanding into his true dragon form. He was enormous, easily twice Hannah's size, with scales that looked like armor plating and wings that blocked out the light. He opened his jaws and fire poured out, a torrent of flame that turned the sand beneath it to glass. Day One dove and rolled, feeling the heat wash over him. His bonded body could withstand more than a normal human, but direct dragon fire would still kill him. He came up running, staying mobile, refusing to be an easy target. Quan laughed, the sound like thunder. Run, little human. Run and show everyone how weak your kind truly is. But Day One was not just running. He was counting. 3 seconds between fire blasts. Quan favored his right side when turning. His left wing had a small tear, probably from an old injury. Information. Data. That was the human advantage. He triggered the first trap. Explosive charges buried in the sand detonated beneath Quan's feet. The Dragon Lord roared in surprise and pain, stumbling back. It did not truly hurt him, but it shocked him. Humans were not supposed to be this prepared. You think your toys will save you? Quan snarled. He took to the air, wings beating powerfully. From above, he could rain fire down without Day One having anywhere to hide. Day One had planned for this too. He pressed a button on his armor, and cables shot up from the arena floor, creating a web of steel. When Quan dove, his wings tangled in the cables. Not enough to trap him, but enough to throw off his attack. His fire blast went wide, scorching the arena wall. The crowd roared. Dragons did not fight like this. They relied on strength, magic, and direct combat. This was something new, something clever. Some spectators booed, calling it dishonorable. Others watched with growing interest. Quan tore free of the cables, fury burning in his eyes. Enough games. He began gathering power, his chest glowing with inner fire. This would be a killing blow, a blast of concentrated dragon fire that would incinerate everything in its path. Day One planted his feet and raised his blade. This was the moment. Everything depended on timing. You cannot block this, human. Quan roared. Nothing can withstand the true flame. I do not need to block it, Day One said quietly. I just need you to keep talking. And Quan did, because dragons loved to gloat. When you are ash, I will kill the Empress. I will take the throne. And I will purge this world of your entire pathetic species. The galaxy belongs to dragons alone. We do not need alliances with lesser beings who live for a heartbeat and die. We do not need. There it is, Day One said. The confession. Every word broadcast through magical amplifiers across the planet. Quan had just admitted to planning the assassination of Princess Yura, to plotting the death of the Empress, to planning genocide. All of it recorded, witnessed by thousands. Quan realized too late what he had done. No. No. You tricked me. Yes, Day One said. That is what humans do. We think. We plan. We use our enemies' pride against them. Quan's fury exploded. He released the true flame, a column of white-hot fire that could melt steel in seconds. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Day One closed his eyes and reached for the bond. Hannah, I need you. I am here, her voice filled his mind. I am always here. Their bond flared to life. Day One felt Hannah's power flow through him, but it was different than dragon magic. It merged with his human essence, creating something new. He raised his blade, and it ignited with silver flame that matched the glow of his scars. Then he did something impossible. He absorbed the true flame. His human body, changed by the healing flames and bonded to Hannah, processed dragon fire differently than any dragon could. Where a dragon's body would fight fire with fire, Day One's body converted it, channeled it, made it his own. The pain was incredible, but he held on, feeling the power build inside him. This is not possible. Quan screamed. You are right, Day One said, his voice echoing with borrowed power. It should not be possible. But humans have been doing impossible things since we first looked up at the stars and decided to reach them. He released all the stored energy at once. The blast caught Quan full in the chest. Silver fire mixed with the Dragon Lord's own true flame turned back on him. Quan's scales, which had withstood 1,000 battles, shattered like glass. He crashed to the ground, his dragon form flickering, failing. Day One walked forward slowly, his blade ready. Quan lay in the sand, dying, his own arrogance the weapon that killed him. You are just a human, Quan gasped. How? Because I am not fighting alone, Day One said. That is something you never understood. Humans know we are weak individually. So we build bonds. We form alliances. We lift each other up. He looked toward the royal box, where Hannah stood, her hand over her heart. And sometimes, those bonds make us stronger than we ever could be alone. Quan's eyes dimmed. His body dissolved into ash, as all dragons did in death. The Colosseum was silent for a long moment. Then Princess Yura started clapping. The Empress joined her. One by one, dragons across the arena began to cheer. Not all of them, but enough. Enough to matter. The High Priest raised his arms. The challenge is complete. Park Day One stands victorious. Day One barely heard him. He was already running toward the royal box, where Hannah met him halfway. They collided in a fierce embrace, both of them shaking with relief and joy. That was the stupidest, most reckless thing I have ever seen, Hannah said against his shoulder. And also the bravest. I learned from the best, he said. The next weeks passed in a blur. The conspiracy collapsed without its leader. Dragons who had supported Quan either surrendered or fled into exile. The High Council formally recognized the Human-Dragon Alliance, with Day One appointed as the first ambassador between species. The human settlement was moved to the outskirts of the Imperial City, where both species could interact and learn from each other. More bondings began to happen, though none quite as dramatic as the first. Cultural exchange programs started. Dragon children and human children played together in parks built by both species. Taeyong became the head engineer for joint human-dragon projects, combining both people's technologies in ways neither had imagined alone. Captain Salmon worked with dragon military leaders to establish new defense protocols. Slowly, carefully, two species learned to trust each other. Day One and Hannah built a home on the border between the human district and the dragon city. It was symbolic, everyone said. A bridge between worlds. But to them, it was just home. One evening, they sat on their balcony watching the sunset. Princess Yura was visiting, sitting between them and chattering about her lessons. She had started learning human languages and was very proud of her progress. "Uncle Brave, my tutor says humans did many impossible things on their old world. Is that true?" Day One smiled and glanced at Hannah, whose hand was intertwined with his. Through their bond, he felt her contentment, her happiness, her love. Humanity has always been good at surviving what should kill us and loving what should be impossible. That is just what we do. Like loving a dragon? Yura asked innocently. Especially like loving a dragon, Hannah said softly, leaning her head on Day One's shoulder. Then perhaps that is what makes your species strong, Yura said thoughtfully. Not despite being human, but because of it. Day One thought about the long road ahead. Thousands of years stretching out before him, no longer a brief candle but a bonfire that would burn bright for ages. Challenges would come. There would always be those who resisted change, who clung to old hatreds. But looking at Yura's hopeful face, at the mixed groups of humans and dragons walking together in the streets below, at Hannah beside him, he felt hope. One person could not change everything. But one person could start something. One act of courage could ripple outward, touching lives, changing minds, building bridges where walls once stood. He had thrown himself in front of certain death to save a child. That single choice had led to all of this, a new alliance, a new future, a new life beyond anything he had imagined. Sometimes the bravest thing was not the grand gesture. Sometimes it was choosing to love despite the odds, to hope despite the fear, to believe that tomorrow could be better than today. In the distance, human and dragon children chased each other through twilight streets, their laughter mixing together. The twin sun set slowly, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. And in a home built between two worlds, three people sat together, bound by love and choice and the unshakable belief that different peoples could become one family. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in either species' history, it was a future they would face together.